Hey, it's Al from A Plus Racing, bringing you another Q&A Monday. This is where I answer your comments that you post in my comment section on my videos. And we're going to do this every couple weeks, or when I have a group of them I think that need to be addressed. And I think we're there. I haven't posted any videos in the last couple of weeks. We had a Thanksgiving break. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. So I thought I'd go ahead and start this Monday off with a Q&A Monday. So we're going to go right to it. The first one is Sean Douglas. Al, what do I do about transmission overhauls? Well, I'll tell you, Sean, what I do is I just replace them. I worked for Ford as a transmission mechanic for over 20 years. When I first got into Spec Miatas, I was rebuilding the transmissions. But by the time I bought the synchronizers and the bearings and the gaskets and the seals and all the parts, I was into that transmission about $600. This was 15 years ago. And I could get a used transmission for as cheap as $50. And the used transmission lasted just as long as the rebuilt transmission. So I just stopped rebuilding and I just started using used ones. And yes, you heard me right. A few years ago, I was able to buy 99 transmissions for $50 each. Now, I think, here it is, 2022, I think I'm getting like maybe $350 is what I'm paying for a 99 transmission. I've gotten pretty expensive. I have several, either I've rebuilt them or I have some extra transmissions. So I have some in stock. Hopefully I don't need any for a while. But when the cost finally gets to the point where it's cheaper for me to rebuild them again than it is for me just to replace them, I'll be building them. And when I do, I'll bring you a video about how I do it. They're really not that difficult of a transmission, but you do need to know some things about building a transmission before you go jumping into one of those, okay? And it do require some special tools, which I just made, so I have done them. I prefer the 99 transmission over a 99 5-speed over the NA 5-speed, because the 99 came with an updated third gear synchronizer. The NAs didn't have that, so we were putting that updated synchronizer in the early NAs way back when I was building them. So now I try to buy the 99s if I have a choice. If I have the choice between the two of them, I buy the 99 transmission. Sean, I hope that answers your question, and thanks for the comment. All right, Austin Smith, what car would I recommend for SM? You know, I get that question a lot. And it really depends on the size of you. I am not a little person, okay? I'm a big man. And so I like getting in an NB. An NB is a little bigger. It can take more weight. It's 2,400 pounds right now. If the rules are reading 2,400 pounds is what the car needs to weigh. So usually I have to add weight to make weight. I cannot make the weight with a NA. So an NA is 2275. I get in the car 2275. I'm kind of heavy for it, and then I lose power because I'm too fat, all right? And so we're on the 99s, the 94 through to 2000, I know for sure, 2,400 pounds. I still have to add weight to the car to make the 2,400. So that's why I make weight better in an NB than I do in an NA. Now, at this time, the rules state that on an NA 1.8, so a 94 to 97, you don't have to run a restrictor plate, but you do have to weigh 2,400 pounds. And on NB, it has to weigh 2,400 pounds with a restrictor plate. So right now, the best car to be driving, or the fastest car, would, in my opinion, would be a 94 to 97, preferably a 94 and 95. The reason why I like 94 and 95 better is because there's more things that I could do to it to make it high performance, because it's OBD1, not OBD2. Once you get to OBD2, you're a little more limited on what you can modify and what you could do to squeeze more power out of it. So if I was driving full-time racing, I would probably go for a 94 or 95. But I do like the feel and the way the car handles on an NB. So, but I'm about the same speed on both of them. All right. So, Austin, I hope that answers your question. All right. Christ Rush is what I think this one name is, and he says that he shaved ahead 20,000s. And what does he have to do with the timing? Well, I would set the timing the same. So if you're going to run, you know, regular 87 octane, which is what we have out here in California. If you're running 87 octane, I would go 10 degrees, what it calls for. If here we can get 91 octane. 91 octane, I'll bump it up to 12, maybe 13. But also too, I do that on the dyno. You know, I don't normally just bump the timing up thinking I'm going to get more power. You balance the timing with the air-fuel mixture to get the most power out of it. So, but I wouldn't really change that. Now, the minimum that we can shave the head on a Spec Miata is 5.250. So 5¼ inches from the bottom of the head to the top of the valve cover. We're not allowed to go anything past that. So usually when I have a head done, I have them leave me 10 or 15 thousandths in case of warpage so that I don't lose a good head. So, but anyhow, so I hope that answered your question. You shouldn't have any problem setting out to 10 degrees and going to it, all right? Thanks, man. Thanks for chiming in. All right, and then, so this one is from Emilio Ramos 4772 asks, when I align my cams for the timing, the eye is under tension. Welcome to the club, brother. They're always under tension. So it's because it's kind of like on the lobe a little bit and it wants to snap back. So on that video I did about timing, setting your timing belt myths and tricks, I go over that in great detail, show you that, yeah, you hold it with the wrench, line it all up, and then once you got it lined up, then you can let go of it. But it is going to want to snap back. That tells me that you're doing it right, that you got things lined up correctly, all right? I hope that answers your question. Okay, and then I have one by Waveboy that says, I noticed you use a 13/16 over a 21 millimeter. 13/16 and 21 millimeter are almost exactly the same size, as is 11/16 and 17 millimeter, 3/4 and 19 millimeters, 14 millimeters and 9/16. 14 millimeters is a little tight. So if I have a stripped out 9/16 on a American made product, I can tap on a 14, it's a little tighter. 11 and 7/16 are pretty close to the same. 8 millimeter and 5/16 are exactly the same. So I know that there are some sizes in metric that also work in standard. You just have to know which ones they are. There's even a couple more. I think 16 millimeter and 5/8 are the same also. When I worked for Ford, we used to use that one a lot. So anyways, I hope that helps. But yeah, sometimes I'll grab a 13/16 over a 21. I think the 13/16 might be a tad bit bigger. I don't know if you noticed, but sometimes on the stock Miatas, the stock lug nut, which is supposed to be a 21 millimeter, I mean, a 21 millimeter barely goes over it. You have a hard time getting it off and on. If you go with a 13/16, it comes off the socket a little easier. I hope that answers your question. All right, Big 800 Wildcat. He says he posted a thing on my channel is very interesting, and I'm going to have to try this. He says by moving one tooth off, I believe it was the intake cam, that he can get more power out of the car. Most of the time I see when you're one tooth off, it'll start, but it's pretty boggy. But you know what? He describes in detail how he does it, and I'm going to try it, okay? So I don't have a lot of 1.6 cars, but I'll give it a try, all right, and see what happens. But if any of you try it, chime in and let me know how it worked out. But it's an interesting factor. He's got it on there. All right. Let's see, a couple more. I am the Lees U2, that's this person's name. He goes, what gauge wire from the switch to the battery? Well, so I imagine he's meaning the kill switch. So when I run the wire from the battery to the switch, I use a 4-gauge wire, okay? It's about this big around. And then when I run the wire from the switch to the alternator, I use a 12-gauge wire. I find that those are safe sizes. I don't have any problems with those, and so that's usually what I run. I hope that answers your question. Let's see. The next one is Zamani 2442, and I know I have a hard time reading these names that you guys have. And he says he's having a problem with idle drop, and so that he can't keep his idle steady. A lot of times when you're having problems with the idle, it has to do with the IAC, the idle air control valve. And so, you know, when I worked for Ford, we had a lot of problems with them getting sticky and stuck. And you may notice you have to stop light and the idle goes up and then it goes way down and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it stays up and it goes down. And the idle, IAC is trying to control how much air is going past the throttle body. So in order for the car to idle and you got the throttle valve completely shut, then a certain amount of air still has to go around the throttle plate in order to keep the car running, because we need air and fuel in order to run. So the computer controls a little plunger in there that allows a certain amount of air to go around the throttle plate, kind of like how the Hoover Dam was made. And so when that plunger gets stuck, you know, the computer's like, hey, we got to open up. And all of a sudden, wham, it opens up. Oh, too far, close. So it's going back and forth. So that can cause some idle issues. And Miatas, especially 1.6, so what you said you had, they're notorious for that. So maybe I need to make a video on how to clean them out and then how to check them. We usually check them with an ohms meter, and we can kind of figure out if one's working good or not working very well with an ohms meter. And so the other thing I would check is your timing. Make sure that you got your timing at 10 degrees, all right? And so, because the timing can sometimes cause it to fluctuate a little bit on your idle, and you said you had some power loss and some stuff like that. Okay? Hey, that was all I have, all right? So this is my Q&A Monday. Why are you not subscribing? Subscribe to my channel. We think we're approaching 2,400, and it's growing and growing. You want to be a part of this, all right? And I mean, I love going to the racetrack. I'm seeing people at the racetrack that recognize me. You know, I sold a Miata to a couple guys in Reno the other day, and part of the deal was, yeah, they bought my Spec Miata. They wanted 2 shirts on top of it. So yeah, I gave them a couple shirts. But hey, subscribe to this channel. I think that you'll like it. You'll definitely find it beneficial if you own a Miata or if you're interested in getting a Miata. If you see my comments, go ahead and chime in a comment of your own. If you're having a problem with your Miata, I'll do the best I can to answer it. And I will see you at the racetrack. Bye now.